What is going on, Movie Meals? Move Meals. It's a podcast. Here we are. Here we go. We're
Podcast
here to
time.
talk about this. We're pretty much just gonna touch on Comic Con stuff, but we reacted to all the trailer. Well, not all, but quite a few of the trailers. Um, in the on the channel right now. They're up. They're ready to go. One of the reactions was on TikTok. Follow us on all that good stuff. Go get some Movie Meals merch. Got some on now. Um, go do all those good things, guys. Do that stuff. Comment. This is exclusive on Patreon. Some clip outs will be on the channel, but we're just going to talk about some stuff we wanted to touch on from Comic-Con. And one thing a little bit before Comic-Con, but kind of plays into Comic-Con a little bit here, I think. We even had somebody comment on this on our I think it was our Shazam or Black Adam review trailer reaction about Zack Snyder. His fans are still proud. Um, so
Proud of people.
so, Kyle, you might know a little bit more about this than I do. So you want to touch on this? Apparently, bots were involved with the Snyder thing. Rumor is I've seen some things saying it might not be as true as the first initial report. But what do you know about it?
Yeah, an article dropped from the Rolling Stone around the time where the Zack Snyder Justice League movie was being brought to physical media. And the apparently the author is like very credible, and it is from Rolling Stone, so their findings could very well be true, but it still could be a lot of hypotheticals due to the nature of the interviews and conversations that were had. But essentially, the part of the article was about how the Snyder movement could have been due to Zack Snyder himself personally, and that about 13% of the Snyder Cut fan base that kept rolling out the Restore the Snyder Cut hashtag was 13% of them being bots. But also, the article also brought up, some backstage drama between Zack Snyder and the producers of the movie, such as Jeff Johns and even the higher ups at Warner Bros. And, a lot of it could be seen as connecting dots and being like, actually, this could check out, or a lot of it could be seen as finger pointing, saying, it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. They were the ones that started it. Those types of conversations. So, I kind of wish this was all starting to die away, and then an article brought it all back
It'll
up,
never
and I'm like,
die.
oh, here we go again. But
It'll never
it
die.
did just honestly, it made me sad. It just made me sad that the movie industry is not a fun industry. It's very uh it's very finger pointy. It's very people getting into other people's faces, a lot of business deals
Yeah.
getting done, a lot of shady conversations as well, possibly even threatening conversations, and it just makes me sad as a fan. Like, movies are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be your escapism at the end of the day, and just that pretty much any movie or any sort of media ever is just business, just is a sad reminder for me. And whereas with the Snyder Cut stuff, and whether it's, not all of the fans are real, it's, 13% of them are bots. Honestly, it's not that surprising. I mean, that's the same for most other things online. There's always going to be bots in some sort of fandom or Twitter conversation to be had, and to be honest, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but only 13%? Like, that number could have been much higher, I think. And they did do the research to find that. Like, they weren't just throwing out a number. I'm trying to find the company that tracks those sort of things. I believe it might be called Graphica. Um, and
And
it
I
seems
thought
to be
sorry,
legit number.
I
No, go
thought
ahead.
so I thought originally Rolling Stone, who broke it, didn't have any of these stats. It was then another article that said, "Hey, no, wait a minute. There weren't that many bots involved here. It was only 13%. We did the data through this other website." I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Is that first Rolling Stone just broke this article, said bots were involved, all this stuff, but then it was later found out by a different company. I don't know who it was, might have been Deadline or somebody like that, that it was only 13%.
Interesting. I know that I have the article pulled up. I saw them bring up Graphica in the article. I'm trying to find the 13% number now, but I'm pretty sure I read it on Rolling Stone, unless
Maybe it
if
was. I could be
I was
misremembering.
mistaken. But if that's the case, then this article should have had a update notice including those numbers, I would think. So if
Yeah.
they just snuck that in, that would be shady in and of itself.
I doubt they
Not
did
that I'm
that.
saying they did or didn't. I'm just saying if that was to have happened and I didn't realize, that would be kind of crummy.
Yeah, look, bots aren't buying billboards. There were billboards. There were airplanes that said "Release the Snyder Cut." Bots aren't doing that. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think this is a big deal. I don't think it matters. We got the Snyder Cut. It was cool to see the director's cut. It is a better version than the version we got. It's still not a great movie. I don't think. We had a fan comment on one of our videos how Zack Snyder just understands DC so much better, and I think that could be true and not true. I mean, Shazam's a really good movie. Are you telling me those directors don't understand their property and what they're doing? Wonder Woman, obviously Patty Jenkins with that first Wonder Woman really understood what she was doing. Maybe missed the mark on the second, but uh I think there's I mean, look at Matt Reeves. Just because we're not in a universe doesn't mean Matt Reeves couldn't have handled a universe movie. Like he definitely could have, but he wasn't making that. So I think I don't know. I don't know how I don't know. I don't know if this is just such a big deal. If some bots were involved, that's fine. Bots are involved with anything when you're on the internet.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Like I'm reading through this article and it wasn't the Snyder Gut fan based stuff that I was interested in. It was more so about the industry related stuff, like the arguments and fights between Snyder and um some of the other
Johns?
people involved and Johns and some of those other people. And honestly, like hearing some of these possible things or threats that Snyder was saying towards, the higher ups, like he's gonna let the fans go after them. It's not ugly, but it doesn't make me feel good. Like again, it goes back to me saying that movies are supposed to be fun, but yet with every kind of business decision, it's a business decision and it gets ugly and it just makes me upset. It especially made me upset that, as Godzilla versus Kong was coming out, they mentioned this in the article too, that the director, Adam Wingard, he was getting bombarded with, the fake reviews and stuff from the Snyder Cut fans because
Yeah,
they were angry that somehow they were angry about Godzilla versus Kong being released, but not Snyder Cut, even though one doesn't have to do with the other. So Wingard reached
exactly.
out to Snyder and was like, "Yo, can you like calm them down just a
Tweet?
little?" And basically Snyder was like, it's out of my control. I can't do anything about it." Which in a sense, yes, but
I
you can
uh,
also tweet and be like, "Guys, leave this man alone. My movie has nothing to do with his movie." And him not doing stuff like that to help another artist just it rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest. And that was the stuff I was most curious about in this article. But it's like you said, it's done. It happened. Can we please move on? Whether you think Snyder is knows exactly how DC should look or what these characters are like is up to you. I have liked some of his interpretations, but at this point I am far more than ready to move on from this. Like it's just noise and it
it's
feels
true.
toxic and I'm just ready for new stuff to be told rather than trying to have something revived from the midst of 2015. It's nearly
Yeah.
10 years. Like we need to move on.
The
It's
fact
time.
that David Ayer's over there though, like, give me some of that, and all the Snyder fans are like, no,
Well,
except for maybe like five of them who are like, maybe
what's funny with David Ayer, like I remember he wrote like a little essay talking about
his version of the
uh
movie.
um yeah, talking about a little, but at the end of the day, he's like, "Guys, please don't ask for a David Ayer cut. Like I'm moving on. What's done is done. It's okay.
Yeah,
I've accepted it. Like I'm ready to do other things." And that's why you don't hear and he did a really good job with that, I felt like. He handled that so well. And with Snyder, I just feel like he let it turn into something ugly when he probably had the power not to do it. Although he did have every right to have his movie come to fruition because he did go through the ringer with not just the behind the scenes stuff, but also just in his personal life with the
yeah,
unfortunate passing of his daughter. Like, yeah, I do respect it on that level. Like he did kind of, he should have been able to finish what he started, but it's been years now. We can it's time. We don't need articles detailing what happened at this
no.
point.
They're all
We don't
just because
need
it's
we don't need
clickbait.
the Yeah, exactly. Parts were interesting, but it's like you said, who cares at this point? Let's move on.
It's also, Snyder was promised. He's probably just bitter. He was promised to make this universe. They were trying to figure
Yeah.
out who would be Kevin Feige, and there were rumors they were trying to get Nolan to do it. They were trying to get all these different people to do it, and Zack Snyder kind of just sat there the whole time, was like, "I would love to do it. I'll do it. I'll be the Kevin Feige." And then his vision didn't work out. Batman vs Superman's not a great movie. If you like it, that's great on you, but it's not that good. And uh, I think, and his Justice League is better, but we're talking about two not good things, which one is slightly better. You're talking about a C to a C plus. You know what I mean? They're not
Yeah.
A's, and I think he was just bitter. I think everybody's bitter. I think that's why DC has gotten to the point where they're just like, let's just give a filmmaker a property and they can do what they want. So like Shazam will be in the DCEU because that's what the filmmaker's going to do. It's easier for that story. And Batman's not, because it's easier for Matt Reeves. It's better for his story. So I don't know. It's interesting, but the Snyder fans are something else. I'm so glad that they're not doing this to Star Wars. uh, I'm glad that somebody else has the worst fans. Although Marvel's getting there too, and we'll touch on that when we get there. But yeah, you want
Yeah.
to turn? Let's switch it to something happy.
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
let's switch it to something happy. Comic-Con announces. Look, let's Nickelodeon goes. All right, we understand that Avatar is just the biggest freaking thing on the planet, and we made a mistake about 9 times because it was canceled about 15,000 times. And they're finally like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start podcasts. We're gonna make a whole production company around it. We're gonna go all in. And then they partner with Netflix, and they're like, Netflix, we wanted to make a live action. And Netflix is like, heck yeah. And then halfway through, the creators are like, oh, we're having problems here. And Netflix was like, no, you're having problems. And they're like, oh, we don't know what happened, truthfully.
We
But
don't. Yeah.
they leave, and now they're working on these movies. It's apparently going to be 3 movies we're supposed to get. We're supposed to get one, I think,
Are
just
they
on
animated?
Zuko. Yes, all 3. This was announced a while ago. They were going to do 3 movies
Gotcha.
with this new production company. I believe one is on Avatar Kyoshi. One movie is on Zuko, and I think his journey to either find his mother or just after the events of Avatar. And then one was supposed to be the gang in between Korra and um and the original show,
Oh,
where
as
they're
adults. Right, right,
either
right.
like later teens or like 20-year-olds or 30-year old, more adults. And I
Mhm.
then at Comic-Con they announced that the first movie will be the gang back together as more adults. They even put that picture up from Korra of them all together, and I freaking love it. I love it. Avatar Last Airbender is arguably, I think, the best animated show to come out of the United States ever, maybe. It is heavily influenced by anime in all of the best ways. It is for kids, but tackles so many important themes. It's so good. The fact that I can rewatch it as an adult, which I'm planning to do soon, uh,
Which is why
rewatched
it's
it just a
grown
couple
so
years
much
ago.
lately.
It's true, and it helps when you get a Netflix comes in and says, "Hey, Nickelodeon, let's partner up," and then they put it
Mhm.
on there and things like that. It is so good for so many reasons. What do you think about this movie? This movie going to theaters, which I freaking love. But what do you think about it all?
Oh, these movies are going to theaters too? Wow.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think it's supposed to exclusively be in theaters at first until VOD.
That's very surprising.
It was
Um,
announced months ago.
I must have missed it, that part of it. I
Wow,
didn't realize it
not
was
big a
going to
fan,
theaters.
huh?
Yeah, clearly not. Well, first off, seeing Avatar Studios, like the name, just makes me laugh. Only because it's like you said, they've canceled Avatar and everything Avatar like 90,000 times. So for them to finally be like, all right, we're serious this time. Avatar Studios. It's gonna have a big old sign in the front yard,
It's
and
true.
it just makes me laugh. It's like 20 years and you finally figured it out.
And real quick, to
What?
be fair, I think most of the cancellations happened with Korra more than anything, because their Avatar did get canceled, but that was because of the writer strike. It wasn't because the studio; it was
Sure.
because the
Yeah.
writers of the show were like, "Hey, pay us a livable wage."
Right.
Um,
Right.
Korra, though, is the one where they said, "Hey, we want to do a one-season spin-off of the next Avatar," and they were like, "Okay, here's a one-story arc," and then they were like, "Ah, we're gonna give you one more season," and then like, "Okay, here's another story arc," and then they're like, "All right, we want two more seasons," and they were like, "How the heck do we wrap this up?" Which you can tell in the show. I think that's part of the reason it's not as good. But
Yeah, just
anyway,
a bit.
continue your thoughts.
Um, so yeah, I mean, name aside, just kind of makes me laugh, but um, I guess hey, like we're finally realizing just how big this is. I mean, there's a small part of me that wishes it was self-contained as it was, but if people are wanting this show to continue even more, then so be it. I mean, I am also curious if the original creators are part of any of these movies at all. I really hope also they stick to the animation style and it's not, some fully CGI hybrid type thing that we get a lot nowadays. But um, yeah, I'll just see how it looks. I guess like them being an adults is kind of cool just because when watching Korra, I was like, we had some flashbacks and some lines here and there talking about like what they've been up to, and it's like they've come a long way since Avatar to Korra with how the world develops. So I guess that would be kind of interesting. Um, and now that it's finally about to happen, I'm gonna be like, okay, no more guessing. We'll see what finally happened. But
This
it could
says
be a
that
cool concept.
the original creators of the franchise will be producing these. Yep.
Okay. I mean, who knows how much producing is producing? It's so loose, but maybe they'll be in it a lot. So hopefully.
Yeah, I wonder because I know it was a young boy who voiced Aang. I wonder if his voice has changed so drastically now that he's grown up quite a bit. If they're gonna have to get, I mean, I guess Aang's an adult, so they'll need to either get the guy from Korra or do a new voice actor for him if they're doing him as an adult. I guess that makes sense. Um,
I don't know if that kid still does voice work or not, but it would be kind of cool to bring him back if he still is in the industry. I'm not sure.
yeah, especially just to voice an older version of Aang.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's not in the industry, sometimes they'll come out just to do things like that. But
Hmm.
uh, yeah, no, I'm excited for this. Avatar rocks. I mean, if it's bad, then I go, oh man, I wish they would have just stayed with what they had. But if it's great, then you're all on board. So I let's see, Avatar and Last Airbender.
Well, you grew up with this show far more than I did. You showed it to me in college, and I was very late to the game, obviously. But you grew up with this show. Like, it must feel. Does it feel weird, like that, or feel really special that it is coming back and being coming back in a strong way?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, especially
Cool.
because they're doing when you're such a big fan of anime like me, and you watch how Japan just gets the animation game so much better and how they're able to, obviously there's shonen, which is more towards kids. There's other versions that are not geared towards children, but like you look at the themes they push and things like that. You think of George Lucas when he first made Star Wars, talking about how these movies are for kids and that kids can deal with bigger themes and it actually might help them grow more as humans and better them. And I think
Mhm.
Avatar is really one of the few shows that really does that. As much as I love
Yeah.
some of the other shows we've had, you look at a SpongeBob growing up and things like that, but they don't play usually on these type of themes. But Aang's a 10-year-old boy. He's dealing with romance. He's dealing with, loss and grief and depression. And a powerful show. So I think doing a movie is great for kids today, especially maybe kids who you were introduced to the show just a few years ago who are now entering into their teenhood, and if they see a movie like that too, it'll help inspire them or show them, I don't know, just something. I think it'll be great though. I think it'll be great, and as long as the
One
creators are involved, I'm here for it, and they don't get canceled, they'll be fine.
one thing that surprises me about them being theatrical releases is that since Paramount, I think, is part of Nickelodeon as well, I think they work hand in hand with each other. I just kind of assumed that this was going to be stuff made for like their streaming service, Paramount Plus. Is that what it's called? Um,
Yeah.
that's why it surprised me when you told me that it was theatrical. Like, it just sounds like one of those things where they're like thinking about how much more can we grow our streaming service rather than making this feel like a theatrical event, which I'm happy that they're doing because I kind of assumed they would be spooked off after what happened with the live action movie, but I guess they're seeing, the results from, us older people going back to the show, but also introducing it to a younger generation and still hits clearly that they're like, okay, maybe we can get that theatrical money off of this. Hopefully they still do deliver a
Yeah.
good movie, but um it would be nice for them probably to get money off of this. So that's just what surprised me as I was asking you.
I do think too studios have looked at since the pandemic and all the expectations were theaters were going to die and that just has not happened at all. I mean,
Yeah.
Minions, look at what happened to Minions. I mean, you get if they
Yeah.
can get the fans like us who are older to be going to droves and suits, they're going to be fine. You look at Sonic, which made a lot of money. The Bad Guys made a lot of money that just recently came out for younger animated movies.
Yeah,
Theaters
it
are
kept playing
thriving
in
still.
theaters.
Yep,
Mhm.
theaters are still thriving. So I think they just are saying, hey, it'll probably go to Paramount Plus at some
Eventually.
point.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good move. I think it's just a good move. All right, well
Makes me
let's
happy, that's for sure.
me too. Me too. I'm gonna move on here. This Kyle doesn't watch these shows, but I want to quickly touch on them. So first, Game of
Bye.
Thrones did their panel. See you later. House of Dragon comes out in about a month, a little less. I've read the Game of Thrones books just recently for the first time. Big fan of the show up until season 8. I actually liked quite a bit of parts of season 7. I'm actually doing a rewatch right now because it's been a few years since I've rewatched the whole show from start to finish, and I want to give it a fresh take. Uh, my only true thoughts on Game of Thrones are that one, I'm glad George is back involved, although he needs to get working on them books, which he is. He's working on them just fine. Um, the only thought I had on the trailer was that everything looked awesome, except I was worried that the main girl was just going to try to be a version of Daenerys. That I think fans were wanted because I think fans were left disappointed with her at the end of the show, and so I think the main girl in this is it looked like from the trailers that they're just trying to make her kind of go the way that they wanted Daenerys to go. I don't know. Comment below. Let us know what you think on that. For Walking Dead, this is the story that'll never die. I was a huge Walking Dead fan. Absolutely loved it. First handful of seasons I think are excellent. Some of the season 2 and 3 might be some of the best TV ever made. It's so good. And there's a reason it was the number 1 show forever. It's still I think in the top 10 shows watched right now in terms of ratings. Um, they lost me for a little bit. I kept watching, but was a lot less interested in the middle seasons. Then they brought me back pretty heavy, and then they lost me again. I know they're just ending. I think either it's coming up or has just happened or something like that. The show. I plan to actually do a full rewatch of the show once it's out, just because I loved it so much. I want to give it a fair start to complete finish. But they're doing spin-offs. They're bringing Rick back, who was supposed to do 3 movies. He was going to write and direct one of them. Those are canceled. Now they're doing a spinoff with him and Michonne, who's played by Denai Guerrera, who's in Black Panther, who's just amazing. Andrew Lincoln, I think, should be a huge movie star. I don't know why he has never really popped off. He hasn't really gotten roles, or maybe he's not trying. But it'll be interesting to see. They're doing other spinoffs. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Got to rewatch the whole show. Curious what other people think. I can't believe The Walking Dead is still going. It's just insane how popular it is. They've made like 3 spin-off shows that are also very popular. It'll never die. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, it's I know that we were just saying that we're excited about new Avatar stuff coming out, but things eventually have to die, right? Like
New.
how is
New.
it's so like for all the complaints I hear about Walking Dead, like it's good, it's not good, it's good, it's not good. Like how do you still pump this out? Like aren't people tired? Don't they want new stuff? I guess
I
they
will
don't want
tell
new
you
stuff,
this.
but like I
It's
I
extremely
don't know.
popular with the casual fan. They're
Sure.
there to see zombies. It's the people that are keeping those bad Netflix movies alive, and there's a lot of them. And it's not that they're
Mhm.
bad or their opinions wrong. They're just not big movie film buffs. And I even know some people who still really love the show, who watch the show, but they're like, yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, but I'm so invested now. It's been 10 seasons that I want to keep watching. It's only 1 episode a week when it airs. They watch it weekly. So to them, it's an hour out of their night, for 7 months or something like that. But I mean, it is a big show. They started the whole after show thing where they had an after show to talk to the actors and stuff. They're the first to do it with Talking Dead. Um, well, maybe not first. I think Bachelor was doing it long before, but one of the
Oh,
first. And I don't know. It's just it won't die. Like the Snyder fans, they just won't go away and be quiet. I am curious to see how it wraps up. I don't know if it's gotten better. I don't really talk to too much about it. I've heard it kind of pop back. It just, I don't know. The first few seasons are just so good. Like season one's great. Season two, they had a ton of production problems, really bad. And then season three, four, and five are awesome. And then it's like season six, ugh, and season seven, ugh. And then season eight, you're like, okay. And then season nine, you're like, all right. And season 10, you're like, we're back. And then season 11, you're like, oh God. It's just, yeah, it's just a roller. I probably got my seasons wrong there. But anyway,
but but
uh,
but it's still tumultuous. Is that the word I'm thinking of? It
yeah,
still
it'll
is that
never,
up and down of it
yeah.
all. Just weird.
Yeah, but that peak though was high. That was a high peak.
If you say
At a
so.
time, it was popping. Now that peak was coming around when Game of Thrones started its real big popularity peak, not in
Yeah.
quality but in terms of ratings. Where
Yeah.
Walking Dead had hit its complete and total like this is the best it's going to be. Now it's been so many years later, we know that's the best it's been and will
Now they're just
probably be.
coasting.
And at the time, everybody else, Game of Thrones, was like, man, this is also the best it is. And people are really peaking and loving it. And it was beating it. There was a time I remember I got in arguments with people. They're like, no, Game of Thrones is clearly getting more views. And I was like, here's an article, my guy. Read it. It's wrong. Walking Dead for a long time was the biggest show on TV. I think for the first like 6 or 7 seasons. Like so
Hmm.
many people were watching it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, uh, the last two big things for Comic Con would just have been the DC panel and the Marvel panel. You got anything on the DC panel? I mean, we kind of touched on all of it in they dropped two things. We talked about the two things on the main channel.
For the DC panel, it's
Lame.
probably, at least in person. I mean, I'm sure Dwayne Johnson put on a good show, but from what I've heard, he
Yeah,
was
from
in
what I've seen, yeah.
costume and, he made a whole thing of it. And yeah, that's to be expected. So that was awesome. I'm sure the Shazam cast, or at least Zachary Levi, and I assume the director was there too. I'm sure they made it, fun and it was cool. Probably seeing the trailers. I guess the trailer that we got online for Black Adam is much shorter than the trailer that we got at Comic
Or
Con. You
that
were the
they
one
got at
that
Comic Con. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that they got at Comic Con. You were the one that told me this in our Black Adam trailer reaction, Al. Um, but that's good that they got more than just like a 1 minute trailer. Otherwise, that probably would be a little cheap because they've been waiting at Hall H for a while. But um, yeah, it's one of those lessons though. At the end of the day, where you can't take too much stock into what comes out from articles, and with that, I'm referring
It's
to
so
the
true.
Henry Cavill being
Yeah,
rumored
let's touch
to
on
come
that.
back to Hall H as Superman, or to make like a Superman Returns announcement of some kind. And I was surprised to find out that that article or that rumor apparently got started by Deadline. So I don't know, maybe there was like conversations and they interpreted as them coming back, which still seems weird that a trade such as Deadline would still release that to begin with. But it's just a lesson of, hey, don't take stock into everything you hear because you might be disappointed. And I think that was like the biggest disappointment for all those people waiting at Hall H was Henry Cavill not showing up, which yeah, you just got to take some things with a grain of salt sometimes, and this is one of those. But um they clearly Warner Bros clearly didn't want to show a lot of things despite coming back to Comic-Con, which I found interesting. I mean, they didn't show anything for Aquaman and the Flash, which I know they have actors in the limelight that aren't having a good portrayal
Yeah.
in the media right now and just in life, but at the same time though, you probably should still show some stuff. I'm not sure if they're still gonna have their like DC Con or whatever the heck it's supposed to be, and that's where they show more things. But um, I don't know, man. There might need to be a little bit more that you need to show. Like you don't have to highlight those actors, but you can work around at the same time. Plus, there's also other stuff that they could talk about too. I mean, there's supposed to be a Green Lantern HBO show, and that was announced like 5 years ago now, I think. Is that even still in development? I'm not sure. Batgirl or Blue Beetle, those movies are, I think they're in post production or maybe still in production, but there must be something that you can show from those two. People are very curious about those two movies. Like, Even if it's just a little, even if it's not much, you can probably just show a little bit. Like for me, I'm not angry that they only show things for Shazam and Black Adam, but it's just odd. Like it sounds like their decision to come to Comic Con was pretty quick, from when it was happening. So maybe they just didn't decide at the last minute, and that's what happened. But I don't know. Even still, that would be so weird if that's how it all came together, and they only showed those two things. I don't know. It was very. It wasn't surprising, but it still is odd.
I went to Deadline to try to find the original article, and I cannot find it on
Hmm.
Deadline's own site. I can't find anything um, about it. So interesting. Maybe
Okay.
it was just a tweet by somebody, or maybe somebody lied and they were like, "I saw this from Deadline and it was wrong." Let's see if you can find it.
Could be. Yeah. No
Um,
problem.
uh,
But what about your thoughts, Al?
I think we need to just calm the frick down. TikTok has created this insane narrative that we have to be right about everything and we have to know it. And people were saying they were going to riot. Like some critics were like, if we don't get Henry Cavill, guys, I love Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is great. I think Henry Cavill is a great Superman. I would love a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I enjoy him in The Witcher. I liked him in Man from Uncle. I like he's fine in that Enola Holmes bad movie. But like he's a great actor, but we don't need to sit here and freak out about it. If Deadline really did report it, or maybe it was a leak on accident, maybe somebody in the marketing got fired and they were just trying to troll. Maybe the Snyder fans hacked. Who knows? But I just don't think this is a huge deal. I would love for him to come up and play, but people are like trashing DC because they only showed up with two things. They showed up with two things that are coming out soon. They want to promote. They don't want to talk about the Flash. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to not want to talk about the Flash. I think there's some critics who are like, we get what's happening, but you can't even talk about Flash. Can't even show us something. And it's like, you know what? I wouldn't right now. I wouldn't want to. He's in a lot of deep water, Ezra Miller. Why talk about him? Why give him more face time right now?
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
you can talk about your other properties, but like Batman's on hold. Joker's a musical. I don't need more on that. What else do they got? Aquaman, I guess you could have come out with some footage, but maybe they just wanted to say, hey, these are the two that are coming out this year. Let's just keep the narrative on them and we'll just let Marvel take it over. Like maybe they knew Marvel was going to dominate. Maybe Kevin came up and was like, hey, I'm going to announce this, 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 and this. And they were like, all right, we're going to announce less because we don't want it. We're going to be overtaken anyway. Even if they had come out with Aquaman and Flash and all this other stuff, they would have still been overtaken by Marvel, guaranteed. The second Marvel dropped Avengers 1 and 2, their next two Avengers movies. Guaranteed. So I just don't see a point. Fans need to calm down. DC has made some great movies lately. Batman is awesome. It's okay that it's not connected. We don't need a Thanos frozen cone Infinity Stone ice cream shop in every movie. We just need good product. But anyway, did you find the article?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny because it's one line in in a article about what to expect from Comic Con, and pretty much within the paragraph, it's mentioning that Dwayne Johnson's going to talk about Black Adam and Shazam, and then the last sentence of it is there's also buzz that Henry Cavill will put in a surprise appearance to talk up more Superman. So that makes a lot more sense. It wasn't
So here's what
a
happened.
full article. It was
I'm gonna
one
tell you what
line.
happened. I'm gonna tell you what happened right
Lay it
now.
on me.
A couple I guarantee this would happen. A couple creators, because TikTok's now the biggest platform. A
Hmm.
couple creators on TikTok talked about how great it would be if Henry Cavill came back as Superman. Deadline then sees that, because that's what their marketing team does, sees
Yeah.
that and says, oh, drop that little line in there. There's a little bit of buzz about it. That's accurate. That is true. There are people talking about it. That is what buzz is.
Yep.
All those creators then read that article, or they run with the headline, Henry Cavill might be back, or all these trashy secondary websites and, trash websites that are all clickbaity go, Henry Cavill will be back as Superman. Deadline said it. It's legit. And then everybody who doesn't read it goes, oh my God, it's Deadline. Deadline said it. Deadline, blah, 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 blah. And those are the same. They're just the same idiots. Like, what are you doing? Read the article. Read
I
the
have
article.
seen. Yep, and That's a good lesson. I am seeing a headline as well that says, "Deadline lied about Superman. No
I
Henry
saw that.
Cavill at the
Oh my
Comic-Con
god.
panel."
Did they? A little bit of buzz, huh?
They
There's a little bit of
lied.
buzz going around. People are idiots who want clickbait. They're trashy websites and they need to check their sources.
This makes more sense to me because I did hear that Deadline talked about this, but I wasn't sure if it was an article or just a little blurb. So that's why I
Like
was
they tweeted
thinking,
it. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's why I was like, if this was like a report from Deadline, that would be very surprising that they did that. But this makes more sense that it was a little sentence. I mean, granted, it is true. Like there is buzz about Henry Cavill coming back, but you know what I mean. Like it's true and not true at the same time. So it's kind of funny,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, exactly. I'll make sure to check sources. Make sure to read what the wording is saying because it's so easy just to change one little thing about a sentence and it has a completely
It's
different
true.
meaning.
And the sentence is literally there is some buzz that Henry Cavill might be at Comic Con to reprise as Superman or something like that. Like there's
Hmm.
some buzz. Pay attention. I'm going to transition because this is a good transition of stupid fans. Now let's tune to the Marvel panel and talk about those stupid fans who are the exact same fans. Um, I'll be completely honest with you. I'll be completely honest with you. Okay, here. I obviously, Kyle, I don't think you're doing this because you're smart. You check your sources. But there was some stuff that drove me nuts. There was a leak that some sleuth went and found that Marvel had trademarked, like New World, Captain America New World Order was a trademark title, and Avengers
Let's find this
Kang the
tweet
Conqueror.
actually.
Yeah, there was all this stuff about trademarks. And then everyone ran with it. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. We're getting this. We're getting this. We're getting Avengers. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. It's confirmed. And literally all the comments were like, bro, it's not
Let's go.
confirmed.
Let's go. Let's go.
And really what they were chanting, because that's what people are doing. They're like, it's confirmed. It's confirmed. And what they're really saying is, I'm right. I'm right. I talked about a verse. I talked about a verse. Give me those clicks. Give me those clicks. That's all they talked about because it just drives me nuts because it wasn't confirmed. Because they're trademarking it doesn't mean that it's confirmed. They could change the name. Why not wait till Hall H to find it? Instead of sitting there in Hall H or online looking, instead of being surprised that Secret Wars is coming out, you're a little less into it. No matter what, no matter how pumped you actually show you are, you're less into it because it didn't actually surprise you. You expected it to happen. So it's not as cool. It turns it into not surprise into suspense. And sometimes you want to be surprised. Um, Lucky for
Yeah.
me, I didn't read most of those titles. So
Hmm.
I knew Secret Wars was one of them. I didn't realize the Kang one was one of them. Didn't read that one. Skipped it because I was trying to get out of there. That
Yeah.
tweet. But did you find the tweet?
Yeah. I don't know if
What
this
are
was
they?
the
Read it.
original. Yeah, I found it from a Twitter account called Culture Crave. I don't know if this was the original tweet or not, but it's just where I found it. You were right. Avengers: Secret Wars was one of them. Avengers: The Kane Dynasty was another. Captain America: New World Order, which by the way, I love that title. I think that
It's a
title kicks
great
ass. So
title. Great
yeah,
title.
and then they also trademarked Multiverse Saga and Thunderbolts. Cool.
Which were
Yeah,
all
like you
correct.
said.
Good
Yeah,
job being
cool.
correct,
You're right.
guys. You are
Okay.
big
Now
guys with your
what?
big egos. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I
Now
broke my
what? Are you
penis.
having fun being right?
Being right,
Instead of having fun being surprised and then doing your
it's
speculating. I don't know, like this new fandom mindset is so weird to me. Like I just
it's
am
obnoxious.
I don't think it's an out of touch thing. I just think people are doing are people doing fandom wrong? Like this isn't
No,
how
it's
is
just
this how you do it now?
I'm gonna
Like
tell you
I
my
hate
theory
it.
here. I'm gonna tell you my theory. Look,
It
Kyle, you and I have been
sucks.
around a long time, and you and I were
Oh,
in the age
27
group, and
years.
all the Gen Zers sit there and they'll be like, "Oh, look at the millennials whining about how." Look, we were in a transition phase that you were not. We didn't have smartphones. Smartphones didn't come out till like we were like 13, 14 years old. So we didn't have
Mhm.
the same kind of gap you did. There was a time it was not cool to be a nerd. It was not cool. We
Mhm.
watched it. If you go to we have like 600 videos on our channel. We have been doing this for a while. We've been almost doing this for a decade now on Movie Meals. If you go back, there are videos where we talk about how we can see some of the fandom start to change. We watch it. We've watched this change, and it has slowly gone as the newer group has come up. It has slowly went from like, okay, we're gonna have the conversations, we can maybe get heated. We're going to do this. We might guess, we might be wrong, we might be right. But at the end of the day, we love each other. And it's not about who's right. It's about the fun of the conversation. And it has
Mhm.
slowly changed to I need to be right. I have to be
Mm.
right because it'll give me the clicks. And now everybody, and it has not helped. Marvel has not helped itself with the cool idea
They
of
lean
everything being
into it.
connected. They have leaned
Yeah.
into it, and I don't think they've leaned into it too much. I think they've done it in a couple ways where sometimes it works, sometimes it hasn't. But and I think the connectivity is cool. That's part of the reason the comics is cool. Not everything has to be connected though. And these fans are so like they lose their minds. Like they spoiled everything about Spider-Man, walked into Spider-Man sitting there going, everything I want is going to happen because I've seen 1,000 tweets, I've watched 100 leaks, and I'll do anything to be right. And they were so excited because they wanted to be right that it didn't. That movie could have been absolute one of the worst movies in human history, and they would have loved it because they went in loving it. A lot of the leave your bias at the door doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't. And
Yeah.
it's sad to see. I mean, I've watched so many of these newer TikTokers and newer creators on YouTube and all these spaces, these new critics who are going to these screenings and these events who will trash something 2 minutes when they first see it because it's really not that great of a product or they truly didn't like it, even if it was good or bad. And then the second they realize that at least 70% of the fandom actually really likes it, they instantly change their mind because they have to get them clicks. And it is annoying. It is entitled, elitist, and it's obnoxious. And yeah, what do you think about all of it? You chime in here.
I feel like it also doesn't help make good movies either, or make good entertainment. Like I feel like because they have so much initial expectations of what should happen or what should come next that they don't pay attention to what's happening with the story that they're given presently. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because of that, it leads them to having complaints that aren't complaints about the story that we were given or how the story looks that we were given. They were more worried about how things tie together, which isn't really criticism of a story or criticism of media that is in front of you. At least to me, anyway. I mean, you can still have your complaints about that stuff, but it should. But I don't know. We're also on YouTube and we criticize and talk about movies, so that's my mindset. I think about what's in front of me first rather than worry about what's connected and what's to come next. But I do think it doesn't cause people to really think about a story that they're think that a story that's showing to them presently. They're more concerned about, okay, but why doesn't it mean this and this and this and this? And I don't know. It's frustrating and kind of tiring to me,
I'm
which is
with
kind
you.
of
And
funny because which is kind of funny and ironic because I'm also the guy that doesn't like current um, post credit scenes because of that reason.
because of
But you
the
know what I mean.
lack of connectivity.
Or seeming like there isn't a solid direction, that it just
Oh,
feels
well,
all
we're
over
gonna
the
touch
place.
on that
But
in a second because I still disagree with that. Uh,
oh, I'm probably gonna get an earful from you. I'm getting myself mentally prepared for it.
but I'm not gonna give
It's
you an
just
earful. You know
ironic
I
that
love
I
you.
worded it that way. But anyway,
But
keep going.
on these there's some of these newer fans who have come up because of TikTok and YouTube and have gotten more notoriety than us, even though been on here a long time. Who I actually really like. And I think they've got really great opinions. And I think that they really understand storytelling. And there's quite
Mhm.
a few guys and girls out there who I think literally just repeat what they hear. They hear that this movie is beautifully cinematically. They watch Dune and they go, they heard before that Dune is beautiful. It looks beautiful. The cinematography is amazing. And they know in their minds, they're like, okay, that movie's amazing. It's beautiful. And even if you sat in the movie and you're like, wow, this isn't beautiful, they would still say it. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell the difference between someone who actually, I
Mhm.
think, thought that as an actual narrative plot point, understands cinematography, and those who are just repeating a narrative because they know it'll get them clicks. And
Sure.
that's what just annoys the crap out of me. I've seen so many creators make it, and I don't care about making it. You and I don't care about that. We're just here to have a good time, share our
Mhm.
opinions with a few people who might want to listen. But like, it's just brutal. I'm just so over this toxic fandom. Like, and to be honest, I poke fun that maybe Marvel's worse than Star Wars fans. I actually think they're all the same collective. It's all the same group outside of the Snyder guys. They're a
Yeah,
new
they all
breed.
interloop. They all
It's
interlap.
all
Like,
interloop. It's all the same
and the good
critics.
fans too. And the good fans also interlap. Like, it's not all bad. We're not trying to
It's
make it all out to be bad,
No,
but
it's hard not to think of that because it's so much more in
yeah,
front of you. All that negative just comes spewing in front of you. But uh,
yeah.
on the terms of what Marvel announced, so they announced. All I was seeing is they were like, I've seen so much of this. DC came out with two, and then Kevin Feige's out here with like boom, 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 boom. And
Mhm.
I do think Kevin Feige listens to fans. I do think he heard that this was directionless and he
Yeah,
was like, "Let's go back to Comic Con for the first time
I
since
told him.
like 2019, and I'm gonna announce a bunch of titles, and everyone will be like, oh, that's where we're headed,' when we already knew it." And uh, he just confirmed it, and then everybody's like, "Oh, there's a plan. Okay, I'm happy with it." And I'm not saying you, because I actually really don't think you're doing that, but there are creators who have complained, whined over and over and over and over on Phase
Mm,
Four, way more than, I mean, you haven't been super high on this, but I've seen people who have just obliterated Phase Four, and
right.
they're like, it's directionless, blah blah blah, nothing connects, nothing connects. I think there is some connectivity. I don't think it's as blatant in the post credit scenes as RDJ and Nick Fury walking in saying, "I'm putting the Avengers together." I think it is a little bit
That's a
more
good way to
ominous
word it.
because I
Yeah,
think I think Kevin Feige thinks that the fandom is smart enough to know what's happening, that we don't need somebody to walk in and say, "I'm putting the Avengers together. We're going to band." Like, it's not that anymore. It's not somebody looking at the camera saying, "This is what's happening. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge."
sure.
And again, I'm not saying it's you. And I do think some of them have lacked, but, some of these creatives drive me nuts. But anyway, yeah, I think there's some people too. They're like, Phase Six, we got the entirety of Phase Six. We got three things out of Phase Six.
They
We
don't
got
have yeah,
three.
they didn't announce all of Phase 6 yet. They only announced,
What?
like, the big ones.
I know, and one of them
Yeah.
we already knew. They just decided to move Fantastic Four, like, and then they said,
Yeah,
okay,
they
we're gonna
only
do
pushed
two
it
Avengers
back.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, oh my god, people are idiots. Anyway, what do you
Should
think
we
about it all?
yeah, I mean, I know at times, like, my wording hasn't been the strongest in what I'm trying to say when it comes to this aspect. It's Kevin Feige. I've, seen all of his movies for a long time now. Like, I was sure there was a plan, but the way that they construct their end credit scenes to tease what's next as before just feels like empty calories to me rather than feeling like here is a really good tease of what's about to come. And that part just I don't know. That part has frustrated me a little, but at the same time, I think I'm also kind of growing out of, the fandom and expectation aspect of the MCU and just are trying to watch the movies as they are anyway. So it's probably just a combination of those two things as to why I'm feeling this way about the end credit scenes. So yeah, I wasn't worried that there wasn't a plan. Like, this guy's clearly been a planner for years. Like, he and his team know what to do. It just has felt like, the combination of those 2 things I just described, so,
So which
but,
ones do you think are directionless, or is it just all of them?
um, yeah, the majority of them. I remember thinking that for at least off the top of my head, Doctor Strange and Thor. I think Eternals kind of was too. I mean, yeah, I think Eternals probably was one of them too.
I
Um,
can't remember the Eternals post credit. Oh, post. It's the one with
it was
Thanos' brother,
yeah, with Harry
with
Styles,
Harry.
and it's
Yeah,
like
I think
it
that
just
was
feels like
just more
actors
setting up.
It's
Go ahead.
actors popping up and that's it. Like, famous actors that you've seen,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Oh, okay.
Who were
That's
spoiled
cool."
by the I Have to Be Right fans who posted everywhere that Harry
Yeah.
Styles was going to be in the movie, and then it completely took away the fun of the movie.
Mhm.
Um, I thought Shang-Chi had a really good one. I think them talking about, him meeting everybody and talking about the weapons and how much older they are and that they're really ancient
Those 2
magic,
are
I think
good.
is great because now
Yeah.
they've met main Avengers and it's like, okay, we don't need to recruit. We know him. We don't need to go
Mhm.
convince him to join. Like, I think that was a solid one. I don't mind the Eternals one. I do agree with you to an extent there. Um, the Doctor Strange one feels like setting up for Doctor Strange 3, which they didn't announce. So I assume that would be in phase 6 unless that's something that they're just not doing, and that's going to be part of maybe the Avengers movie is what happens with Charlize Theron and Doctor Strange. I think Loki set up a great. I think they had a great post credit scene of being like,
Oh yeah,
okay, the
look,
whole universes are changing. This is an incursion. We're actually, because now we know what that is after Doctor
right.
Strange. This is an incursion that has happened because of Kang. We've got a ruthless Kang now. He even
Mhm.
says it. I think that's a great one. We know Secret Wars is coming, and that's going to be a massive incursion event of these universes. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think that's a good one. Some of the others, I can't even remember. I mean, I like the Miss Marvel one. Just that now we know mutants are in. We've been wondering when that was going to happen for a while, for years though. For years, we've been wondering that the second they acquired Fox, it was like, okay, all they're going to do is put in a post-credit scene of some new character and say, I'm a mutant. Or like Wanda would be like, oh no, I'm a mutant. Something like that would happen.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what did happen. It just took a little longer and it was with Miss Marvel, and fans are pissed, but bummer.
The second Ms. Marvel, after credits scene was also really good too, I thought, where she suddenly turns into,
Yeah,
spoiler I guess spoilers, by the way, whatever, but,
don't care.
Miss Marvel either turns into Captain Marvel or they both teleport
Swap
and
places.
swap places, and I thought that one was actually pretty good. I like that one.
I got to tell you something. I know
Uh-oh.
you're. I think Captain Marvel is a fine movie. I know you're much lower on it on your ranking, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's. I I have seen people now. It went from like it's fine or to meh. I've seen it now be obliterated. I've seen people talk about how they would do anything to get Brie Larson out of the MCU, and how they hated her in Endgame and all this stuff. And it's like I think you have completely changed your tune, because I guarantee in all those scenes in Endgame in the theater, you were cheering and hollering like the rest of us.
Mhm.
Brie Larson's a great actress. There was a lot of rumors about her that I think people believe that are completely not based in any actual fact. They're based off of one interview clip that people have not gotten full context on and watched full interview, and it drives me nuts because this happened to Chris Pratt and now it's happening to Brie, and I think it's completely and totally unfair. Sorry, I need to go on that little rant.
No, that's good. It's good to bring that up because it is pretty silly. I just think Brie Larson, the actress, got in a weird situation with the character because the first Captain Marvel movie, it's a fish out of water story, and it was released in between, two of the biggest movies ever, being Infinity War and
Yeah.
Endgame. So for them just to throw this movie in the middle and it be a fish out of water story to where like she's learning who she is and who the person she's supposed to be is, but at the same time, I don't think the writing of the movie really did that well. So it felt like she was just doing the best she could, but wasn't able to give a clear idea to the audience about who this character is supposed to be. And then when you on top of that, only show her in like brief action moments in Endgame, it doesn't really do much else for the character. In fact, it just makes her so overly powerful that it's like, okay, but what else of this character can we enjoy? So I just think this character is just in a weird spot along with
I would
Brie
agree.
Larson playing the role, just wasn't really able to give us a character that we could really like from the get go right away. Not that it's a bad character or not that Brie Larson didn't do a good job. I just think the making of the movie when it was released and how the character has been utilized so far just hasn't been able to give audiences a true idea of the character. So they blame it more on the actress rather than, in my opinion, blaming on the writers and directors. Like that
Can
probably
I
was their faults more than the actress.
It's true, and I wanna say quickly on that point, Kevin Feige, since the very beginning, since the Jon Favreau days, takes risks on actors, and he takes risks on his directors. He has talked about how he wants to find good storytellers from anywhere. James Gunn had not done anything huge up until
Mm-mm.
he got Guardians, but he really liked movies like Slither and how weird and crazy they were, and he gave him an opportunity. Some of those opportunities have worked. He must have liked the shows the writers of Captain Marvel were doing, because I think they had done some pretty good TV work. He must have really
There,
liked them.
there was one movie they did prior that had some buzz, but I can't think of what it was now. Anyway, keep going.
I'll look it up, but like sometimes you miss. You get the
Yeah.
guys from Community. Those guys should not have made four of the best superhero movies ever made, arguably. And three of them really are considered. Like that should not have worked. but it did because they happen to be very good. And not everybody's going to be very good. They got different directors for Captain Marvel too, for the Marvels.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's see what these two had done. Um
We also wanna talk about all the new stuff that or some of the new stuff that got announced, at Comic-Con as well, which we'll get into in a minute, but we're just having fun with the conversation. This is the podcast.
Mississippi
It's loose.
Grind, is that the movie you're talking about? And Sugar? I
No.
haven't heard of
Maybe I'm
any of
thinking of
these.
maybe I'm thinking
The
of a
Big
different director
C.
then.
Well,
I
maybe
don't
it's
know.
the other one. There are two. Um, well, we are running out of time, so let's touch on whatever the last little bit you want to touch on is.
Well, what did you think of Marvel's Comic-Con panel? Like, what were the
It
things
was great.
that kinda stood out to you?
I thought it was great. I think Kevin Feige, first of all these talks and leaks and people showing, I'm trying to avoid everything for the most part, clips more than anything else. I've never been one to watch a leaked trailer. Give me the real trailer. I'd rather watch it when the studio wants it to come out. Um, like if I see a tweet that says like, "Oh, Viola Davis is going to be in Guardian or whatever," the DC movie or whatever, Black Adam. It's like,
Black
okay, that's
Adam,
fine.
yeah.
Like they show it in the trailer, they tweet about it. I'm like, okay, that's not bad, but I don't want to see a leaked trailer. So all that stuff bothers me with Guardians. All the leaks you're seeing. I mean, I'm scroll through Twitter and I see hundreds of leaks of just like, here's the trailer, and it's like, oh my god, just get off your phone and watch it. Did you even watch the
Mhm.
trailer? No, you watched it on your phone, and then you watched it 100 times again. Um,
Okay,
but
old
I
man.
yeah, it's just true though, Kyle. Um I uh I thought their panel was great. I think Kevin said, "Look, we need to be at Comic-Con. We're based off comics. Like we took a couple years off, but and maybe they've got some big things planned at D23 for Star Wars, and for other properties, Pixar and things like that. So maybe they're just saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, Marvel will do, and they'll do a little bit of Marvel. That's probably when they'll show the Guardians trailer or something like that, or this Ant-Man footage that was shown. Um, so
Yeah.
I think they did a great job. And I also know from what I had heard, it's that Chadwick Boseman always loved going to Comic Con. And so I think having the energy in the room with what they did for him and the tribute was just amazing. And I think you can get that at D23, but when it's Comic Con, you're going to get real hard, sweaty fans of Black Panther there than you will D23. And so I think that's the spot to do it. And they had just an incredible tribute. And they came out with arguably one of the best trailers um,
That
Marvel's
they've
ever
ever
put
made.
out. Yeah. And it
Yeah,
just makes
that's
me so
fair.
hyped for the movie. I got a giant TV, I got like a 70 something inch TV out there. And as soon as I was done putting those videos up, I went out and just put the trailer on my TV with a big sound system and everything. And I was like, I couldn't wait. I was getting chills again. I was like, this movie is just going to be freaking incredible. It's just going to be incredible. Um,
Mhm.
but anyway, real quick, what were your thoughts on the panel overall? I thought it was great.
They did a good job with the panel. I saw some of the clips on Variety's YouTube page.
I have
And
two.
mostly
I've
from
seen
those
some of them.
clips, it's like introducing the actors and little snippets about like what the movie is going to be like, this and that. So I don't know, nothing too crazy, but yeah, there was some good showmanship at times, like especially with the Black Panther panel. I thought it was really cool, and yeah, I thought they did a fairly good job. But I just liked hearing some of the things that they kind of announced to let us know what how things are going in the future, such as like when phase 4 and phase 5 like begin and end. She-Hulk and Black Panther are supposedly concluding phase 4 of Marvel, which okay, that seems fine. Ant-Man the Wasp is going to kick off phase 5, and if that really is going to include a lot of Kang the Conqueror, which just by the
I mean,
little
he's the
snippets I
villain.
hear, yeah, it sounds like that's going to be the case, which again, Ant-Man and Kane, like that I've never thought of them going hand in hand, but I don't know, it could be really cool, especially with I've oh shoot, I'm spacing on the actor's name now who's playing Kane, but he's terrific, so
He's
I love to see
amazing. I
that.
can't pull it either. I'll look it up because he's awesome.
Jonathan
I didn't
Majors.
love Jonathan
Jonathan
Majors. Yep,
Majors.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. I didn't love Lovecraft County. It just wasn't for me. But man, did I
Mhm.
like him in the of the season I watched and everything else I've seen him in.
Yeah.
He's just awesome. Anyway,
Yeah,
go
for
ahead.
sure. Um I dig the new Captain America
Love
title,
it.
Captain America: New World
Love
Order.
it.
Yeah,
Love it.
something about it just sounds cool to me, and I think it ties in well with the, not the tone, but what the Falcon Winter Soldier show was, what it
Yeah,
was about. So I think that movie's gonna be pretty cool. I think I'm gonna dig
good.
that one a lot. It's coming out in May of 2024, and that's another
And
thing too. It's
it's
like,
the
oh,
end
these
of phase 5, isn't it? Isn't it the Thunderbolts should end phase 5, but I think that's the second to last movie, I believe.
that sounds about right. I did hear that Thunderbolts ends Phase 5, which I think is very interesting that that's going to be the unless if something changes, all these things move around all the time, but
It's true.
Thunderbolts, which is like anti-Avengers to cap
It's like
off
a
a phase.
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You just don't think about it in that way. You don't I just wouldn't think a project like that would be a Phase 5 capper, but it also I don't know. It probably also doesn't mean that much.
My
So,
guess is the story beat they're going for is probably something to do with one of the Avengers movies, that either Kang is actually going to get this Avengers team to do something like that, or maybe it'll
maybe.
be kind of a Black Widow, because Black Widow was supposed to be the end of Phase 3 technically, wasn't it? Or it wasn't the start of Phase 4. Isn't it technically the
Oh,
last film of Phase 3?
boy, that'd be really disappointing if that's the end of Phase 3, but I guess so. I never really thought about it.
Because I think if they do that and it just takes place somewhere in the middle of the timeline, that'll be fine. If Captain America 4 ends with it's called New World Order, and it has some insane connection, post credit scene of, or just the themes in general play on where we're heading for this Avengers movie, I think it will be very good build up and great setup. And again, we have Phase 4 did its job. We got a couple fun teasers. We got a couple little connectivity, little snippets, and I think Phase 5 will really get that roaring and going. And by the time we get to 2025, it's going to be insane with these Avengers movies. So,
Yeah, which by the way, if people haven't heard what these movies are called, the two Avengers movies are called
it's
Avengers: The Kang
Avengers King.
Dynasty
Yep.
and Avengers: Secret Wars, right? That's
Yep.
what it's going to be
Secret
called.
Wars.
Gotcha.
Yep. Based off the
Um,
comic.
and supposedly they're both going to come out in what is it, Al, 2025 or
I believe it's like
2026?
May 2nd, 2025, and then like November 7th, 2025. It's May and
I
November.
I'm sure a lot of people are freaking out and going wild about that, but for some reason in the back of my mind, I can't imagine that that happens. I have to think that something there's release changes all the time when it comes to theatrical releases. I won't be shocked at all if one of these gets moved. It's probably like a placeholder to see like if they can do it, but I don't know. I don't think it's that possible to release it that way. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but just from what I have seen about release date changes and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be
It's about
surprised.
5 months difference, so a little less than half a year. I To me, it doesn't matter whether they keep it or they don't keep it. The product's gonna be the same either way. Um, it I assume Avengers: The Kang Dynasty will end with Kang, maybe his defeat, but then his defeat causes an incursion, and that was what brings Secret Wars, is like 4 or 5 universes colliding together, and we're gonna get,
Good theory.
which I think will be cool, because if we get like Tom Holland or any of these actors, Paul Rudd, uh, playing different versions of themselves against all each other, I think that would be sweet. They're going to film it as one movie. They announce it as two, but that doesn't exist anymore. They got them for a contract of one movie. Like if
Mhm.
it's their ninth movie they owe, they're going to say, okay, we're going to film this massive script. We're just going to split it into two movies. It's genius. It's what Harry Potter did it. Everybody's
Yeah.
doing it. And it just makes sense. If they need those 5 months, just finish editing and polish a few things up. That's fine. And if they need to push it, they'll push it. Can't push it to December though, because Avatar will be there, and that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true.
Maybe a little January. That's the dumping ground. Can't do January. You can't do February. Too cold. March be all right. I can't do March. There's madness in that time. April, nope. You'd be fooling us. My puns, I think, are hysterical. These things I'm saying, and you're not laughing enough. Anyway, final thoughts on the Marvel thing. We got to end this. This is a long show.
Yeah, it does bum me out a little that there's almost an equal amount of Disney shows as or Marvel shows as there are Marvel movies. To me, you can tell these stories in a TV show or a movie format, and it's that's not the issue that I have. I don't think one is better than the other. My issue is that for me growing up and watching these movies, they felt like events. They felt like a
Mhm.
special they felt special because they weren't, so many episodes of something, or they weren't so released so close to each other. There still was enough space to have like a breathing room of sorts, even if they did release 3 to 4 movies at a time. So to see an equal amount of shows and an equal amount of movies and seeing them like close to each other, and again, release date changes happen all the time, but even still, it's a lot of stuff throwing at us, and it doesn't have that special feeling. Like it just feels like we need more stuff, but we're not thinking about more quality over more stuff. On top of it, just feeling less special to me. So that was a little frustrating. Although I am excited for Loki season 2, and I really hope the Daredevil show is good. It's probably not going to be the same vibe as what we got from
Mhm.
Netflix. We just kind of have to accept that.
I
So
mean, that's
hopefully,
in the
whatever
title.
they do, yeah, hopefully whatever they do is still pretty good because these actors are very good in their roles who are coming back.
And
So
they're being smart because
those are
they're
my final
putting
thoughts.
putting him in Echo and She-Hulk, so we're gonna get a taste of him first, and then they can adjust based off of fan reactions. But,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
real quick, very last thing.
Mhm.
What is the percentage? Because I think they used to feel like events, some of these movies. I think they have lacked it a little bit. What is the percentage out of 100, or the ratio, I guess, that you think that is Marvel being too much inside baseball now to horrible fandom? Or do
How do
horrible
you
fandom first? So, like myself, I would say 80. I'm gonna go 80. I think 80% is horrible fandom. Is part of the reason that this does not feel as special. I think
mm,
20% it's Marvel inside baseball. I know I'm a little higher on some things than you. So where do you lead? From fandom? I would put it at 80-20.
I'll go lower, in this moment. I'll say 60% fandom, but
To
40%.
40 to Marvel 2 inside baseball.
Yeah.
Is that and not talking connectivity, just talking too many? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that.
Mhm.
You know, we're gonna put the
Eh,
X-Men theme in for certain
the
parts for mutants and things like that. That
yeah.
stuff's what's bothering you.
Yeah, between the aspect, of business decisions and needing so much content, and the obvious big content is Marvel, to also now that we have this much content and we know how to strategize and make this stuff because we've had years of experience in doing this and we clearly kill at it, that the reins are it doesn't feel like there's so many eyes on making sure it's great. Like it feels really high quality. It just feels
Maybe all those eyes are on
yeah.
Black Panther, my guy. You see that trailer?
I mean, after seeing that trailer, I hope so. I
Yeah, and
hope that's
hopefully
the case. Because
hopefully
holy crap, that
Quantumanium is
trailer's
great
good.
too. It's true.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what did you think? Comment below, let us know. I'm gonna like, subscribe, share. Long episode. Thank you, Moon Meal patrons. We're gonna get out of here. As always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.